Thanks. Round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished panelists, colleagues and partners, it is my great pleasure to address you at a time when the Three Seas initiative has matured into true strategic platform. One that bridges economic growth and security, and it's deeply rooted in European solidarity and our transatlantic alliance. Today, we are living in times of significant geopolitical uncertainty. Russia's unprovoked and ongoing aggression against Ukraine, the increase of hybrid threats, and the energy uncertainty have reshaped our priorities. In this context, the Three Seas initiative is no longer just about development. It is about investing in resilience, securing strategic autonomy, and reinforcing our common defense. As one of its founding members, Croatia sees the initiative as a center of the Europe's strategic future and will continue to play a key role in strengthening regional resilience. Located at the crossroads of the north-south and east-west corridors and along the secure Adriatic coast, we are a gateway for energy diversification, maritime stability, and protected trade routes. The numbers tell a powerful story. The Three Seas initiative region represents almost half of the EU's members and over a quarter of its population. Croatia's trade with fellow member countries has reached 23 billion euros, more than 35% of our total trade. We actively support the Three Seas Initiative Fund and the Innovation Fund, and we are engaged in 32 out of 143 projects currently in the Three Seas framework. But this initiative is not just about figures. It is about strategic projects that deliver real impact. Let me highlight a few. Our flagship, Krk LNG terminal, is now expanding to 6.1 billion cubic meters, and over 65% of its gas comes from the United States. This is a powerful example of transatlantic energy cooperation. The port of Rijeka, paired with the modernization of the Rijeka-Zagreb-Budapest railway, is strengthening both trade and energy corridors into Central Europe. Digital transformation. Croatia is establishing a regional Amazon Web Services hub, which is an important step towards a connected and competitive dialogue future. Through our National Development Strategy 2030 and the Recovery and Resilience Plan, we have placed green and digital priorities at the core of our national development agenda. We actively support startups, tech innovators, and investors to help unlock the full potential of the Three Seas region. We are also turning our attention underground to geothermal energy. Croatia is investing its vast geothermal potential for both electricity and heating. We have designed 13 exploration fields, issued 24 exploration permits, and allocated 75 million euros in just 4 years, supported by the EU's Recovery Facility and Repower EU. Geothermal requires upfront investment. Yes, but the long-term rewards in energy security and sustainability are undeniable. That's why we are active participants in the PTEC platform and proud co-leaders of the newly launched Geothermal Working Group. As a country that has a big share of the renewables in energy mix, we can understand all needs for the stable, low-carbon energy. In that sense, we consider nuclear energy as an option in achieving our decarbonization goals. We established a working group on nuclear energy and started thinking more broadly about nuclear energy in Croatia. By the end of the year, the adoption of the law on nuclear energy and the establishment of the agency are expected. As Croatia approaches the final phase of its OECD accession, we are reaffirming our commitment to sustainable growth, stronger trade integration, and transparent, predictable business environment, bringing tangible benefits to both investors and regional partners. Our region has moved from a periphery to the forefront of Europe's strategic landscape, ready to deliver bold investments and transformative cooperation. In the same spirit, Croatia assumed the presidency of the Three Seas initiative at the Warsaw Summit in April. We are honored to host the next Three Seas Summit in 2026, an event that will bring together over 20 heads of state and government and the business forum of more than 800 companies and 2,000 stakeholders. Our presidency is guided by four strategic goals: enhancing connectivity along the Baltic-Adriatic-Black Sea axis, deepening our energy partnership with the United States, reinforcing initiative financial instruments to support sustainable growth, and expanding and modernizing critical infrastructure to strengthen the EU's overall resilience. These pillars reflect our shared ambition to build a more secure, connected, and future-ready region. As a global dynamics shift, the initiative must evolve. We should explore synergy with the complementary efforts like the India-Middle East-Europe corridor and align with the like-minded democracies across the globe. With 12 out of 13 Three Seas member states being also NATO allies, we see clear value in greater coordination with NATO, particularly regarding dual-use infrastructure, both civilian and defense purposes. We see the 2026 summit not just a milestone, but as a launchpad. To succeed, we must build political momentum, deepen coordination, and invest in infrastructure that connects us physically, digitally, and economically. Expanding tools like the Three Seas Investment Fund and the Innovation Fund and prioritizing clean energy and smart technologies will be essential to meeting Europe's green and digital ambitions. In conclusion, the strengthening of the initiative will deepen on the strength of our partnership, especially with the United States and the European Union. These are not optional relationships. They are foundations of our collective success. Croatia is fully committed to unlocking the transformative power of the Three Seas initiative. With vision, will, and strategic investment, we can build more connected, more resilient, and more prosperous Europe for generations to come. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to our discussion.
Thank you, Minister. Just like to, I guess, as we get going, quick introductions to my other panelists. We have Maciej Kubicki, who is at the President's office working at the Three Seas Initiative in the Secretariat there in Poland, and Max Primorac from Heritage Foundation back in Washington, D.C. We're both from there. So welcome to you, gentlemen. Let's, I guess, get started. Maciej, let me ask you the first question. We heard the Minister talk about plans going forward. Maybe as we start thinking about challenges going forward, you could tell us about, having just hosted the last one, what do you identify as the biggest lessons learned of the first 10 years, and what are the roadblocks for really kicking off the initiative for the next 10?
Thank you very much for the invitation for this very timely debate. As we all know, Croatia braces for the organization of the Three Seas Summit next year. It's great to hear it, because as all of you know, or maybe you don't know, this project, the Three Seas Initiative, originated in Croatia and in Poland. So a Polish president and Croatian president were the co-creators of this great format of collaboration. Indeed, we've been active for 10 years, and there's plenty of lessons learned. There's lots of conclusions, and overall, if I could sum up, it's a success story. It's a success story, and I will definitely try to support it with some arguments. So basically, if you look backwards, you will see that this format, which is basically about regional connectivity, it was created in 2015. Now, if you look at similar strategies that emerged within the European Union, for example, Global Gateway, you'll see that it was launched in 2021 or 2022, I guess. So quite a few years later than the Three Seas initiative. Now we've went through stormy waters over the time. I think this turning point was definitely the pandemic. That the pandemic really made us realize that we were right about these basic assumptions of the format. So we need to strengthen the connectivity. We need good connections, not only within the region, but also with the rest of the world, because we all realize that if you are at the end at the very end of the supply chain, you may lose, and the losses may be really significant. And the second very important moment in the history of this format was obviously the war in Ukraine, and especially the energy crisis that was imposed on us by Russia. So I dare say that had it not been for this superb infrastructure, energy infrastructure that we constructed within the format, such as the LNG terminal on the Kirk Island, mentioned already here by the minister, such as Poland's LNG terminal in Świnoujście, such as Lithuania's LNG terminal in Klaipeda, such as interconnectors between our countries. Also, lots of other examples of critical infrastructure. I think we would have been in a very bad position. Thankfully, we survived this crisis. We are developing, and we did not go under the suppression of Russia.
All great points. You know, it's the little backstory for me. Before I worked at the Washington Post, I worked at a think tank in Washington, D.C. called the Atlantic Council, which actually wrote the paper, which was then adopted for the Three Seas. So it's actually very close to my heart. But, you know, I was reflecting on this, Max, you know, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, really, when it was come out. It'd be hard to imagine a moment like this today, partly because of the Ukraine war, pandemic, for sure, point taken, but also tensions in transatlantic relations. As in the midst of a hot war, debates about trade, debates about burden sharing on security, and yet here we are. And in the first term, Three Seas Initiative, the Trump administration was engaged and involved. So I don't know, I wonder if you might give us a little bit of a perspective. You know, what's it look like right now in Washington, and what are the opportunities here for the Three Seas Initiative from what you see?
I think this is one of I think it's one of those good news stories. It's kind of like a no-brainer. You're right. President Trump in his first term in 2017 attended in Warsaw, and that's where he gave what he considered to be one of his hallmark speeches on what his administration would stand for in terms of tying together our Judeo-Christian values, Western values, and peace, prosperity, and freedom. So it's something that certainly in his head, he actually had committed $1 billion at the time. And this was during the early years when it didn't really necessarily prove itself. So here we are now in his second term. So this is something that he knows. His team is composed of business leaders. He himself is a business leader. If you look at across the administration, this is a team of people who believe in business, who believe in finance, and the politics that they're adopting right now. People will speak of it kind of in a negative way, that it's transactional, but that means results oriented. So what you're seeing across the board all over the world is trying to solve these very difficult problems, but strategic commercial approach towards everything. And this summit meeting that we had in The Hague with NATO, I think is a new era for the 3Cs initiative. And why is that? We went from a rather moribund transatlantic partnership in terms of defense, low defense spending, 2%, but many didn't even reach that, to an agreement that it would be 5%. So 3.5% on hard military, but 1.5% on building infrastructure that would be dual use, like the minister had mentioned. That is opening up such a massive scale of opportunities, everything from roads, rail, ports, cyber, and with an administration that is completely focused on the relationship between security and commercial opportunities as a way of combating a lot of the strategic adversaries that we have. This is really, the timing is amazing.
And so I guess Minister Schuschnigg is you know, you laid out an actually very ambitious agenda for the for hosting the 3Cs next year. Can you help us maybe identify what's the lowest hanging fruit that would be the priority for next year? You know, it's easy to say all of the above. These are all important things, but how would you prioritize things? Is it should we be looking at energy? Should it be digital connectivity? Should it be or should it be this critical infrastructure, or is it the finance?
All three are same when we prioritize it, but I would say that the transatlantic dimension is essential for the initiative and for the agenda and for the summit of 2026, because that is the long-term success of this 3Cs initiative. And I think this is the only format when we have the US around the table with us among the UN and the NATO, where everyone sits, and it's a significantly wider format. So this is the part of the 3Cs initiative that is most important. I think that we can discuss and openly with transatlantic partners together with the table. The strong US engagement in transforming political support into real investment, modern infrastructure, and enhancing energy security. That is because, as I mentioned before, we built up on 2021 the LNG terminal, and around 65 to 70% import of the LNG was from the US. And this is the real proven partnership and with our partners. From our inclusion, the US visa waiver program, to launch of the strategic dialogue, the signing of double taxation treaty with Croatia, and also the participation in global entry program. These are the benefits of the initiative. These are the benefits that we have as a part of the 3Cs initiative and as a country. And these are the significant strides in deepening our partnership. Croatia has always been a firm advocate of this transatlantic unity, not only in a shared interest but in a common vision of the international peace and global stability. And this is the main course of the initiative, and we will improve it as a host next year.
Mr. Kubicki, thoughts on the institutionalization of the initiative. Right now, and up until now, it has been this kind of rotating country by country ownership on that level. I've heard it said that it would be important to institutionalize it further, to have sort of a permanent secretariat. Mm-hmm. What are your opinions on that?
Well, if you asked me this question 5 years ago, I would say that we do need a permanent secretariat. And after working for 5 years in this format and on this format, I think we need something more. Obviously, it would be great to have some auxiliary supportive structure to let's say serve as a hub for gathering information from all the 13 states, let's say to provide some assistance to the country that runs the presidency in a particular year. Also to deal with visibility. I think this is what the 3SI lacks most, and we do need some structure that could let's say provide some support here. I think the very first idea about the permanent secretariat was presented to the participating states by Estonia. And at the time, Estonians presented a non-paper on with some ideas on how such secretariat should look like, how it should work, what aims of such entity would be, and so on. So we had a discussion among the participating states, and at the time there was not really a consensus. And within the 3Cs initiative, we work on consensus basis. There were some countries that were opposing the idea of having the secretariat. With the main argument was from the opponents that if we set up a body like this, the 3Cs initiative would lose flexibility, which I do not agree with. I think we are not talking here about transforming the 3Cs initiative into an international organization. We are talking here rather about having this like small supportive body with I don't know, 2-3 officers working there. That like from the financial point of view, that would not be any burden for the 13 states. Anyway, we didn't get into agreement, so we started talking about some other solutions. In the meantime, there was this idea of having a rotating secretariat, which was also dismissed by some countries. Then our Bulgarian colleagues proposed to have something that resembles, the presidency in the European Council, meaning having this trio of countries: the former organizer of the summit, the current one, and the next one. It was not possible due to the fact that sometimes we don't know who will be the next host. So it's not always possible, to have this trio ready to collaborate. I was actually reading also some ideas presented by think tankers. So there was one idea of having so-called like sectoral secretariats or sectoral task forces. That meaning that we would have some, let's say, cooperation among the ministries, for example, responsible for digitization or responsible for transportation. But that was just a hypothetical discussion. Now, after these 5 years, I think what we need most here in the 3Cs initiative is an entity that could either generate or aggregate projects, infrastructure projects that could be presented to investors. As we all know, one of the basic assumptions of the 3Cs initiative was to attract private capital to have their share in building the infrastructure. And frankly speaking, we failed. We failed because most of these investments are financed through state budgets. So it would be ideal to have a body like this without, let's say, defining at this moment whether it would be a public institution or a private one, because it could be a private one. We were talking to some investors from the Gulf countries, and we invited them to invest in the projects of the 3Cs initiative. So their response was, show us the project. Yeah. So we were telling them, go to the investment fund, because they actually manage the projects. And their response was, we are not interested in investing in a fund. We want to invest directly in the projects. So again, I think that would be the best solution right now for the 3Cs initiative, to have an institution like this.
Max, question for you along the similar lines. You know, I think I think it was told to me, it might have been even in a paper I read, that President Trump in Warsaw basically said, well, you know, this is a great idea, but, you know, where's business? Where are the business leaders? You know, what do you think about this? I mean, what needs to be done to basically leverage the you know, national investors from abroad, but also the private sector to basically to turbocharge this?
Well, since he gave his Warsaw speech, from what I understand, the number of activities have tripled, right? And you've gone up to about $120 billion worth of potential projects. I like what you said, that on focusing more on private sector rather than just an investment fund, but deals, direct deals, and that's what they want to see. That's what the Trump administration wants to see. Now, let's keep in mind, the first time around, when it had improved itself, they wanted to put forth $1 billion of DFC money, and the DFC is very clearly it's not a state bank per se. It is there for one purpose only, and that is to galvanize a much greater amount of private capital into the mix. Now, everybody, you know, we know on the foreign aid stuff that the U.S. government is cutting back dramatically, but not on DFC. The administration is kicking up its support for DFC funding, and you've got an equal amount of interest on the congressional side, which is bipartisan. So with this renewed aggressive commercial diplomacy that this administration is pursuing, I suspect that you could have a lot more DFC financed or co-financed opportunities here that could be much greater, because there's a lot more flexibility in the legislation in order to renew that act. So the more deals that can be presented, the better. What I would urge the governments of the 3Cs initiative and its partners is to push forward more the private sector opportunities as much as possible. That's the language that the American leadership understands. That's the language that will attract their interest, and they will be very aggressive in identifying real opportunities and bring business leaders at a massive scale. And keeping in mind that in the United States, you literally have trillions and trillions of assets, invested assets. So it's not lack of money, it's the lack of an environment inviting it to be spent and invested in this region. So I like the Polish government. It's great. I think that's a really good thing to hear, and I think you're going to get a very aggressive response from this White House and the opportunities if you can present them deals.
Yeah. Minister, you mentioned about the coordinating with NATO about dual-use infrastructure, and our Polish colleague also, talked about the Ukraine war as a real driver of, sort of a reckoning for the initiative. Any thoughts on specifically what in the next year, any initiatives that might include Ukraine? Any thoughts of perhaps inviting Ukraine permanently to join the initiative? I think they're on some sort of observer status now, but would that be helpful, do you think? Or any thoughts on what the Three Seas Initiative might concretely do at this time of acute crisis for Ukraine? Any thoughts in general?
We need to help the Ukraine anyhow and any way is possible, but in this light of the Russian ongoing war in the Ukraine that I mentioned in the keynote speech, the Three Seas initiative has taken a crucial role as a bridge between economic development and security. Also for Central and Eastern Europe and the EU's most exposed region, investment in infrastructure through the initiative are no longer just about the growth. They are about the strategic assets for resilience, military mobility, and defense readiness in the face of hybrid threats and disinformation and the cyber attacks. So I think possibly in the future Ukraine will join this initiative. I hope so, as my colleague said, this institutionalization of the initiative is also a move forward to strengthen it. But the countries are, the Three Seas Initiative countries are strong supporters of the Ukraine as and well positioned to help with its reconstruction. They bring the valuable experience in building and modernization, modernizing infrastructure and offering targeted support. We as a country, as a Croatia, we are engaged at the moment also in the Ukraine regarding demining. We have the company that is a world leader in demining process. I think we have problems with demining from our homeland war, and just in 2026 we will be free of mines in the mid of the 2026. So you can imagine what kind of process and what will be in Ukraine in the future. So we ultimately the Three Seas can significantly enhance the regional resilience and contribute to the broader European security, provided both sides of the Atlantic remaining united in support Ukraine and to Ukraine's recovery.
Can I have a say?
I was about to ask you, as a neighbor, I imagine it's quite pressing. Any thoughts?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, it's enough to look at the map. Okay, if you look at the map, you'll see that 4 out of 13 Three Seas countries share a border with Ukraine directly,
Yeah.
and that tells a lot. And if you look at the political setup or let's say political environment right now, you will see that Slovakia has, let's say, poor political relations with Ukraine. So in the years to come, I do not think that we should expect some, let's say, significant connectivity development there. With Hungary, you know the situation, so it's more or less the same. So actually, it's Romania and Poland that are left as two gateways to Ukraine. And definitely, if Ukraine wants to integrate with the European Union, these will be the two main entry points and countries which will be developing the infrastructure. One more issue. Ukraine is actually a part of the Three Seas initiative. We should remember that during the Riga summit in 2022, and actually I was the co-author of this clause, which was included in the declaration after the summit. So the clause reads, we welcome Ukraine as a special guest in this year's 3SI summit and as a partner to the Three Seas, who from today begins the process of participating in the 3SI. And it was 1 year later that we actually worked out the status for Ukraine. So for those of you who are not experts on the Three Seas initiative, you need to know that if you want to become a participating state within the format, you need to be the EU member state. Ukraine is not an EU member state, but obviously, they are part of the region. And obviously, in these geopolitical circumstances that we have right now, they deserved some kind of participation. And we invented this status of associated participating states, which was also offered to Moldova, and this year also to Albania and Montenegro.
Mm-hmm. Max, do you think that the United States, as the Trump administration tries to figure out an approach, a constructive approach to Ukraine, and is looking for the Europeans in particular to take the lead in many ways, that this is another sort of way that they might think of engaging and maybe even investing in something that's targeted towards again stabilizing and bringing Ukraine more into the Western orbit? What do you think?
I'd say it's a matter of co-leading with Europe, and that's because many here will remember the strategic minerals agreement that the Ukraine and the United States have signed. And I guess there's 2 points to that. First, the point of that was that to make sure that in a post-war Ukraine, that the United States would still be engaged. Because obviously if the war ends there, the United States has many other issues, security issues that has to deal with around the world, especially in the Indo-Pacific, that costs a lot of resources. In that kind of environment, having a strategic mineral relationship with Ukraine would bring a massive amount of U.S. capital. We're talking about billions and billions. DFC, again, is a prime engine of it. And so the question becomes, okay, you have mines there and you have this relationship. How do you get the stuff out, right? There's the issue of rail. There's the issue of road. There's the issue of ports. And this is where the Three Seas initiative just comes into play. It's so easy, you're right. Take a look at the map. It's not a complex thing. You see where the relationships are. And that thing extends also with Ukraine in terms of energy development. That country can be a global player in energy development, whether it's hydro, whether it's nuclear. And in all of these areas here, the United States can be a really big player. You have obviously Croatia being a leader in the LNG. I wish some of the countries in Eastern Europe would stop relying on discounted Russian gas. And I don't like to use the word discount because I'd rather call it a bribe, because that's basically what it is. Croatia can provide an alternative to those countries that are basically financing Russia's war machine, which costs us more in the United States, more weapons that we have to provide. And then you have Germany, for instance. I saw recently that United States is the largest LNG provider to Germany. And I think with LNG up in Poland, they're also playing a very important role. So you look at, this is President Trump is the energy president. And you have so many of all of the above that would ever work. If it's market, it can survive market forces. When you look at LNG, when you look at nuclear, when you look at hydro and the role that Ukraine plays in all of that, especially with these very critical minerals that are critical to our ability to strengthen our own defense capabilities and the requirements of all of these rare earth minerals, I mean, the sky's the limit, frankly.
Mm-hmm. I guess, one question I think for everyone here is, you know, Masha, you mentioned the importance of coming up with projects, you know, a list of projects that you know are shovel ready that then investors can sort of can reach for. I was wondering, I'll just ask the question to all three of you. If you can just let's think about what these might be. You know, what would be a set of projects that you might encourage, you know, the initiative in the next, you know, 5 years to come up with, off the top of your head, that would be the most important, I think, at this point. Minister.
Thank you. As I mentioned, we are preparing the nuclear law in Croatia, nuclear agency. The nuclear program, we are already engaged in a nuclear power plant, but it's based in Slovenia. It was made when we were in Yugoslavia together. But we have developed several potential locations that are geologically and every other of investigation for possibility of the building nuclear power plant is done, and we have a high potential to build great large-scale nuclears, but also we are developing the SMRs, not just for our sustainability for energy, but this opens the question for the data centers that are high consumers of the energy. So this could be together project that could be financed and developed by the initiative, because its future is going to that way. We will need more electricity, we will need data centers, and that is what is coming to my mind at the moment, because it's almost all in my scope of duty.
Of course, of course. Mr. Kubicki?
Well, from Poland's point of view, definitely energy projects, and also I would say that nuclear projects. Currently, we have one nuclear project at the very early stage of development, and it's the US technology that we are implementing there. There is second nuclear power plant being planned. We still know that we still don't know who will deliver the technology, but obviously the US will be a strong player here. If we look further to the future, definitely SMRs, because it's something that we will also need in the region, just to fit this energy transition requirements. And also renewables. I'm sure that there's plenty of space for renewable energy. Also, talking in the wider context of the region, along with renewables, we will need energy storage solutions, big scale storage solutions. So it's also something that will be needed to be there. Talking about transportation also, because the region invests heavily in transportation infrastructure. Obviously, from the point of view of private entities, of companies, let's say that these linear projects, they are not really something sexy that they would look at, because it does not bring profit. It is the duty of the states to take care about this infrastructure. But everything that goes around this infrastructure, meaning transportation hubs, dry ports, all that's related to logistics. Also, this logistics that the minister mentioned, the dual use of infrastructure, that is something that could attract private investors too. Talking about digital sector, it's difficult for me to comment on it, because I'm not an expert here, and definitely the digital sector is the one that is least developed in the three Cs. From among these three Cs pillars, is the least developed sector. So definitely we need more investments also here.
Max, question for you.
Yeah, I think the energy security is first and foremost. Europe is struggling because it pays so much in its energy costs, and the issue of whether or not it can be competitive with the rest of the world. So just from Economics 101, I think the Eastern Europe with Ukraine can play such a responsive role in terms of meeting the energy needs, especially when you're talking about AI, and that is just an energy suck. And Europe is simply not there. So I think in terms of, we spoke earlier about low-hanging fruit, this is a necessity just from purely an economic perspective. But it's also in terms of Russia. If there's some kind of peaceful settlement, is Europe going to go back to cheap Russian LNG? We've got to be able to make sure that Europe has an alternative cheap source of LNG. So the more that we can increase the capacity of importing from the United States, from other places, I think that becomes a very important strategic issue. And then there's the issue of infrastructure. When you look at the map, there's just too many gaps when you look at north-south. I know a lot of my friends, generals and Pentagon, military planners, they're going to look at that. They're going to see that's a security problem. And they would want the governments to respond to it quickly. And those are massive enterprises. Those are massive. And it's not states are going to be able to finance it, because all states, whether it's US or in Europe, we're having problems with meeting our budgets. We're spending too much. So the role of private capital, I think, will be even greater. And quite frankly, coming from the Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom, when you bring in more capital, what creates wealth? It's private capital, not government spending. So I think the three C's initiatives fit so neatly with all of these concurrent lines of operation. So actually, I'm really excited about the next summit where we are.
I wonder if there are any questions in the audience. Happy to actually, please.
Thank you.
There's a microphone behind you coming.
My name is Matt and I ran a privately funded think tank in Croatia, the New Frontier Foundation, and we've been quite active with the 3Cs initiative for a number of years. I personally participated in the first summit here in Dubrovnik. So I carefully listened to really what all the participants had to say. And I totally agree and fully agree with the idea that we have to unlock the power of private capital. Now, we have a problem to do it. Why? Here, at least in Eastern Europe, people think that when American investment is coming, that it's really a government investment. But it's not government investment. It's not taxpayers' money. It's private capital. So the American companies have to decide in which projects they want to invest. And I think this is a critical problem with the 3Cs. Secondly, we don't really have a projects that are bankable projects.
So can I ask you to ask it in the form of a question so we can get the panelists to
yes.
opine
So
on it?
my point really is that Croatian government has a great opportunity. I mean here, the government and all the bodies involved, ministries involved, really to structure this next business summit as a true, trade and investment business summit. So my question would be, what are the ideas, Mr. Minister, for the next summit? And do you have any specific goals and targets that you want to achieve? Because I think it's a great opportunity for Croatia and other 3Cs member countries. Thank you.
So Mr. Minister, answer that, and we'll just open it all to the panel just again for any concrete thoughts.
Okay, thank you. We as a state, as a government, we are not functioning from the summit to summit. We made a framework. Our homework is to make a framework to attract the investments. We as a government amended our business Business Promotion Act, and our tax holidays, our incentives are better than anywhere in Europe. And we are attracting, in 2024, it was a record year that came 4.3 billion euros foreign direct investments. So I think Croatia is on the scale very, very high, because some companies from the neighbor countries are thinking about moving their businesses just to Croatia, and every day when I meet with entities and businessmen from the region, they say that we make a huge step forward and they want to move their companies to Croatia to operate just in Croatia. So I think not from initiative to initiative meeting, but we are doing, as I am hearing from the audience, we are now doing a really good job, and the numbers are good, and all three agencies gave us the investment credit ratio, and I think this talks just for itself.
Mare, any thoughts about how to leverage?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Obviously, it's the sovereign decision of the government of Croatia how they will arrange it. But I think that it's a vital issue is to have a dialogue, meaningful dialogue with entrepreneurs. I mean, they are a part of this ecosystem, and they need to have a say here, and they also need their recommendations. Must be listened to. I guess this is one thing. Second thing is that we have a wider group of stakeholders here too. I'm looking at the gentleman from, I guess, Japanese embassy. Are you from Japanese? Yes. So last year we had Japan joining the club as a strategic partner, a very important development for the 3Cs initiative. This year at the Business Forum in Warsaw, we had an excellent, really superb announcement of JBIC, Japan Bank for International Cooperation, to set up their office in Warsaw, which would focus on the region, on the 3Cs region. I am sure that it will facilitate Japanese businesses, to get into the projects here. So this year we also had a very, I would say, bold entrance from Turkey, which also joined us as a strategic partner. Heavy player in the region. So I'm sure that will be great also to talk to them. How they see the synergies, where they see the potential to develop the collaboration.
Max, any additional thoughts, or should?
Yeah, absolutely. First, kudos to New Frontier Foundation for excellent work on the LNG. But there was something, a more recent report you did on defense co-production between Croatia and Poland. And that's something I don't know would fit in the 3Cs initiative. But this issue of defense co-production and United States need to be able to ramp up significantly, and the abilities in the region to be able to maybe partner with defense companies in the United States. Maybe this is a group of people that you want to invite over to see what kind of subcontract or even more direct partnerships, because we've got to produce a heck of a lot more. Obviously, the war in Ukraine has reduced a lot of our stocks. We got to build those things up. We got to go even further up. At the same time that NATO is making these kinds of commitments, this is a sort of thing where the 3Cs initiative could be yet another catalyst in strengthening the transatlantic alliance and building that defense relationship that goes beyond just spending money, but spending it together. So I think that is something that maybe Croatia as a leader for this next round might want to consider. I suspect, being in Washington, D.C., that defense companies would really be interested in that, because they're in a bind. They have so much to do, and the capacity is just simply not there, and they have to do it with allies. Mm. And then also in terms of, you're right, in terms of capital, ask the capitalists. Just ask them, what do you need in order to get interested in investing your capital in this region? Simply ask them. There's too often, and I've been part of government too, and you get caught up into this bubble where you talk to other governments. Well, it's not bureaucrats that create wealth. It's not bureaucrats that's going to invest. It's the entrepreneurs, it's the capitalists. And sometimes we're just talking amongst ourselves, but invite them. In terms of the United States, you got a great rapport with the U.S. government. You know a lot of the top leaders in the administration. Ask them to open the door to these kinds of big funds and other big investors, and get that meeting with them and be straight out. What do you need in order for this to succeed?
Let's do one more question here, and then we're probably short on time. So please,
thank you.
Form a question.
My name is Mehmet Ali Bayar. I'm a former Turkish diplomat who was involved in policy in the 90s, early 2000s. And interestingly, Turkey had, as of 1998, an initiative called 3Cs. Black Sea, Caspian Sea, linking it with the Mediterranean. It was a brainchild of late President Demirel when he was very much involved with policy and implementation of the policy in this wider geography. In fact, Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline, just give you an example, was an outcome of it. It was one of the game-changing, history-changing, geography-changing project which came out of this idea of 3Cs, linking together and along the lines of bringing in capital. And Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan simply was an international project of private capital supported by related governments. And in fact, it really did change the strategy of oil in this wider geography, which created a new market. Now, my suggestion and question is that when you take the idea of linking seas, there is that link aspect of it, either through energy grids or railways or transportation, or the projects like linking the industries, energy and defense and whatnot. I think the good story that's coming out of this, or the best, let's say, opportunity is Croatia's emerging energy policy and its implementation in real-time implementation. And LNG plays the critical aspect of it. Mr. Minister's this morning remarks about providing now LNG to Germany, Bavaria, and the rest is a good opportunity to begin with.
So, sir, is there a question?
The question is, if we're thinking about linking in every sense the 3Cs, we need the link through the geography where it is not linked right now. That is the Balkans and the whatnot. What would, in terms of energy, for example, Croatia do in the former Yugoslavian geography, but with the pre-established relations and or already established relations, to ramp up or to revamp, to change the real linkage problems and ameliorate? That is like pipelines, maybe rail lines, highways. The question is, what is Croatia? What kind of steps Croatia is taking in terms of putting this on the ground?
So linkages in the Balkans specifically.
Yes, that's the challenge actually. Yeah. When you think about linking Baltics and the rest into the Adriatic, you have a problem there. And how do you think that Croatia would be crucial and instrumental in solving that within its already established relations with the neighboring countries?
Go ahead, Mr. Minister, if you have any thoughts on that.
Yes, for sure.
We're short on time, though. It's a big question.
No, we are developing at the moment our infrastructure. So our pipelines towards Slovenia is upgrading for 100%. Also towards Hungary, and we are able to provide wider than our neighborhoods. As I said today, we will be able to provide to Austria and even to Bavaria. Today we are able to provide the crude oil from Adria pipeline for whole amount for the Slovakian and Hungary refineries for Sasalambata and Bratislava in full capacity, even though they have the domestic production for some amounts. Also, we are providing the oil to the NIS to Serbia, and we have very good relations, and we had a common investment committee towards regarding this capability to Hungary, and we proved that we can provide even more than 15 million tons. So our infrastructure is ready, but as Max said before, they have the cheaper commodities from the other side, and they don't want to give up that share. We gave up also. We had it before. Now we are importing what we have, and the price is like it is. So we are ready, and we are very, very well interconnected. We are making the new interconnect. When you see the geographically based on the former state, we are unified with the electricity grid. It's a grid for one country. We are now planning, and we will build our own circle in the Croatia, and it's a very, how I can say, it's a geographical position that is a little bit difficult, but we will manage it to build it. Also, we are negotiating to connect with Italy, and we have very good interconnections regarding the electricity with the other countries, Slovenia, Hungary, and Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia also. We are exchanging. Also, we are trying to establish electricity market together with Northern Macedonia, Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Albania, and this is the initiative that I spoke last night with the Macedonian foreign affairs minister, and we are intensively working to establish it, and that is how we will collect these countries to the allies that we are in at the moment, and we have achieved all our foreign goals, and the last one is the OECD, and I think that we will enter it in the middle of the next year. So we are ready to provide our experience and to make common markets together with our neighbors, and we offer our solidarity to them, because we are investing heavily. We are around 600 millions we are investing now in the pipelines. That will be also the hydrogen ready, and we are ready for this.
Yeah. Well, so now I think we're out of time at this point. Thank you very much to our panelists. Mr. Minister, I think that the remarks there also show in general the great opportunity ahead for the 3 Cs initiative, and just a lot of work still to be done. Yeah.
One more sentence.
Go ahead.
One more sentence that Max mentioned today. Go to businessmen, ask them what they need. What I know what they need. You don't need to ask him. In Croatia, they come by themselves. They say, okay, we will make the energy, but you need to give us the money, feed in tariffs, and we will do it. It's a bit difficult issue in this part of the world.
All right. Well, round of applause for the panelists. Thank you very much.